So, Mesharala, before we go into this lesson, we give all honor, all glory, and all praises be to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. We give double honors to the apostles and prophets and elders of James Campbell and our great Milson for to bring forth the 100% truth that have been currently edified under. Shalom to the elect, the tabernacle of David, and I am a brother, Kazak, from HOY, Heralds of Yahushai, coming to you with a lesson. Right, so what we're dealing with today is what ancient Israel would have looked like. And we know, according to the scriptures, our people would have been scattered throughout various of nations. And of course, due to mingling with these other nations, they would have had a shade of complexion change and appearance featuring that of these nations, especially if they were there at the point of a very long time, which many of our people has been. Now, the reason why I had to add that to you, because we don't teach a skin color doctrine, but what we teach is your forefathers must go back to the seed of Jacob in order for you to be a part of recipient of salvation or to be an Israelite. So notice what I said. We don't preach a skin color doctrine. However, providing information is necessary to show the ancient Israel what they would have looked like, especially when the scholars has provided information for us, which we're going to go into. So even if it might appear that our people back then would have been of a particular color or dark or hue, doesn't mean that I'm teaching that as an abstract for even today. Keep that in mind. And this is back to basic information to me. So for those who are new to this, because on the last live we had people stating that we are not Israel, we are not of Israel, not Israelites because of our skin tone. But they didn't do their research, they didn't study. Because if they had, it would have been more appropriate to say, yeah, there is Israelites. Especially when they with the history from back then. But before we go into it, information provide one particular precept because it allows us to adhere to the standard of the scriptures in Isaiah 8 and 20, where it says, to the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. So let's follow this particular standard as mentioned, and as we know, in order for you to know the mysteries or understand the mystery, you must go back to the history of how it all started, dealing with our forefathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And if you could remember what Yahweh would have mentioned to Abraham about his descendants, which we are going to go into, from there you will have a clear picture as to why I'm going through from that into this. But let's go into from that into the actual, what they would actually look like according to following biblical standpoints and historical facts, right? So let's get Genesis chapter 15. Let's get straight to the point. You all know what I'm going to by now. All right, let's read it. It says, and when verse 13, Salak. We can read from 12, but verse 13, all right? It says, and when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them for 400 years. So this was prophecy of the seed of Abraham, which stemming down to Jacob's descendants, because it's Jacob's descendants that went into captivity in Egypt. Prophecy which has been mentioned, which also has already been fulfilled on two counts. But let's deal with the first count, main one dealing with this lesson particularly, right? So we could use this to address and identify the prophecy that the Heavenly Father would have ordained to Abraham, showcasing what's going to happen, which means we would have been in Egypt. It was a main, you see, it is impossible to state that it didn't happen because history, hieroglyphs, recordings, archaeologists, structures, all these things portrayed the culture of our people, the ways of our people, and even to the point where we were in captivity by the same Egyptian, which was literally recorded on stone. That's the point. If these colors hadn't showed this, then you could have fought this. But because they have showed this, then you can't fight it. This is what we call the absolute, abstract truth. So let's go into it. It says, and also that nation whom they shall serve, will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with a great substance. Ah, boy. So, going into this, again, which is prophecy, which eventually landed us into Egypt, Jacob and all his descendants, which was pointed out also when you go into Genesis chapter 46. We could read from 2 to 27. But I mean, if we have the time, we'll read it. Just you could see that none was missed out. Approximately 70 people, 70 of Jacob and his descendants went into Egypt. Well, I get the precept right here. Straight to the point. And it says, and power spake unto Israel in the vision of the night, and said unto Jacob, Jacob, and he said, here am I. And he said, I am power, the power of thy father. Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will there make of thee a great nation. It says, I will go down with thee into Egypt, and I will also surely bring thee up again. And Joseph shall put his hand upon thine eyes. And Jacob rose up from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried Jacob their father and their little ones and their wives in the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to carry him. And they took their cattle and cattle and their goods, which they had gotten into the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt, Jacob and all his seed with him, his sons and his sons' sons with his him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all his seed with him, and brought he with him into Egypt. And these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt, Jacob and his sons, Reuben and Jacob's firstborn, and the son of Reuben, Hanok and Phalu, and Hezron and Carmi, and the sons of Simeon. I'll just skip down. Son of Simeon, you know why, right? Along, and son of Levi and his descendants, and son of Judah and his descendants. I will do like that from now on. And his descendants, and the son of Ishka and his descendants, and the sons of Zebulun and their descendants, and it goes down. Therefore, the sons, they keep going, right? The sons of Gad and their descendants, the sons of Asher and their descendants, the son of Asher and their descendants, and the sons of Joseph, Benjamin, Manasseh, Ephraim, and I'm missing here. I think I'm missing. No, looking for Naphtali. Naphtali and Dan and their descendants. All right. So outlining all the children and their descendants out of Jacob, making up approximately 70. Because when you go verse 26, it says what? And all the souls that came with Jacob unto Egypt, which came out of his loins, besides Jacob's sons' wives, all the souls were 66. It says, and the sons of Joseph, which were born him in Egypt, were 2 souls. All the souls of the house of Jacob, which came into Egypt, were 70, which makes up about 70 to be exact. All right. Let me see if I can grab our next one time. Because I don't understand. No, boss. I'll look for it. I'm looking for it, but at the point, let me just add this one time. Yeah, remember this. At the end of the day, their standing purpose is to multiply them, which will mention in verse 3 and verses 4, when it says, right? And he said, I am power and the power of thy fathers. Fear not to go into Egypt, for I will make thee. For I will there make of thee a great multitude. See? And verse 4, and I will go down into Egypt, and I will also surely bring thee up again, and Joseph shall put his hand upon thee. So it's going to what? Multiply us and restore us. Because he knows, according to prophecy, which was mentioned also in Genesis, what would have taken place at the end of the day. It was caused for a purpose. All right. And I know we're taking a little while, but just remember we're hitting the points point by point, because again, this is back to basics. But many people still are in awe due to the fact of the ancient Israel and their identity or what they would have looked like. So this is why we have to do it yet again. Back to basics. Ancient Israel appearance. That's what I could say. All right. So let's grab let's hit that point. Let's go into Genesis 47 and verse 27 straight to the point. Just to reiterate and re-identify, it says, and Israel, this right one, it says, and Israel dwell in the land of Egypt, in the country of Goshen, and they had possessions therein, and grew and multiplied exceedingly. So you see what happened as mention of Yahweh Shemashah would have happened? So you see how we're hitting point by point, because it showcased that the ancient Israelites back then would have been in a numerous amount. And this is what led the new Pharaoh to do what? Put his foot on their necks. And the reason why we have to go into this, because when we go into the hieroglyphs, it must match the historical points. The biblical standpoints must match the historical facts as mentioned in scripture. That's why I'm doing it like this. So concerning pause. On the next precept. I get my precept already. But this is the reason why we are hitting these points to showcase the scholars' information also in the video concerning the Hebrew names, along with the hieroglyphs, which was both historically and biblically accurate. So we are highlighting what they are saying in the videos and showcasing the story as to how it came about. So you can't say now this is incorrect or that is incorrect, because aside from having the scholars providing the information, the archaeologists, there are also scholars that go through the Hebrew inscriptions or the language and break it down to provide necessary outcomes and answers relying to this, making this story credible and accurate. All right, with the hieroglyphs, it's both historical and biblical. So now let's jump to what happened to Israel after Joseph passed. Because remember, Joseph looked out for his family as he was already there first and had favor with the king before. But after his death, the fulfillment of prophecy had started to unravel, which we can grab in Exodus chapter 1 and verses basically 7. But let's go from 1 to 7 so I can get some more information. So we take time and we jump in from one to the next. I will pause just to make sure the video isn't too long. The aim is to make it short but sweet because it's back to basics. Back to basics shouldn't be as long as 30 minutes or 50 minutes. So I'm going to do it short. I'm going to do it brief. Alright? So shalom.